Alright, so as you can see, we figured out our solution to our fenders, and I'm going to show you just how we did that and how we're going to go about doing our fenders from now on. Welcome to High Hill Stable Garage. Alright, so it took a little bit of figuring, but I think I figured out the best way to take these wheels off. Again, I wouldn't recommend this if you're doing wheels that you really care about, but basically, we don't care about these aluminum rims. We're changing them out anyway down the road. We just need these damn tires off so we can finish working on our fenders. We gotta get these swelled lug nuts off. It's that cheap steel covering that goes over the nut. That's all swelled up. It's all super soft and all that stuff. So what we're gonna do, we have our hammer or sledge, we have a sharp pry bar, sharpened tip, we have a pair of cutters, and it's a 13/16 socket in this. Normally these with the chrome covers are metric. So what we're gonna be doing is basically cutting the sheathing off with this, and if you slice down the corner, you can pull the whole end off with this guy. So without further ado, let's start hammering. So there we go, both wheels are loose, they're both able to come off now. So what we're gonna do is jack up this front end, put it on blocks, rip these tires off, and then we should be able to actually work on our fenders, which is gonna be pretty darn good. So let's do that. Alrighty, so we got this guy all basically off its wheels, onto blocks. As you can see, pretty good, sitting pretty nice. And then we basically coated everything in penetrating oil, just literally everything. That way, hopefully, down the road when we're ready to go into it, it won't be a struggle. So I'm just coating it as we go, and now we can get to it. But now, because the wheel's gone, you can kind of see how things are gonna look. Let me prop you guys up right here, and I'll finagle it over there. Now you can kind of see more of the angle that I'm kind of looking for. I kind of want something more like that, swooped down just a little bit. And I know it's not OEM, because normally this would be about, I don't know, a centimeter away from this side right here. But we modified this and built this from scratch, so we got the dimensions a little wrong. That's okay. So what we're gonna do is basically we're gonna take out a pie, or not a pie, sorry. We're gonna take out a sliver all the way down this fender, the exact same size. And that's going to hopefully bring in our front end very nice. So it's going to suck in our fenders, make the body more narrow. We'll have a little bit of tire poke, but that's okay. A little bit of tire poke never hurt no one. So yeah, that's what we're going to be going for. So let's take that sliver out and let's get at it. Marked out our strip that we're going to be cutting off this fender. It's 1 inch shorter than the actual fender is supposed to be. So we're gonna cut that strip out. Sadly, it goes through my hole, but that's literally just a little dimpled hole, so that's not a big deal. So we're just gonna cut that off, scooch the entire thing in a little bit, see if we like it. If we need to add maybe, I don't know, a little bit of an angle on the outer cut, that's what we'll do. We'll do a little bit of an angle on the outer cut and sink it in a little bit. But I don't think we're gonna need to. So let's do that and let's see what happens. Might do a couple quick tacks roughly on it for right now, just so I can see if I like the size from the front end, and if I do, then we're basically gonna true that up, true the lines up, Zeus her in. So give me a sec. You know what? I quite like it right there, to tell you the honest truth. So what we might do is just true up this back corner, make sure it's tacked in nice and strong, but I'll angle this, or I'll line it up, angle it up, and then basically we'll run our saw right down it again, because I kind of like this look of it kind of sloping in a little bit and then curling back in, you know what I mean? I kind of like that look a lot better than just flat over. Kind of gives it a more rounded look to it. And we'll have a little bit of tire poke on this side, but that's okay. So what I'm gonna do is basically run the angle grinder through this, get this line back up to true on what I want, do a couple hot tacks, and I'll bring you guys back when I'm putting this fender back on, and we'll see what it looks like. Kinda narrowed in a little bit, makes the truck a little bit smaller. The tires are just gonna poke out a little tiny bit, and especially when we put those 4 cruisers on, that's gonna look wild. So yeah, it's not that bad really. Ignore the giant wheel well, aka rust free, you know what I mean? Because what I think I'm gonna do is I'll build the rest of the fender first, and then from there, what we'll do is basically leave this wheel well section open maybe until we get the tires. I'm not quite sure. So yeah, we'll figure it out as we go. But basically, the next step is just make sure that there's no warp up in the top. I see a little tiny bit there I want to take out. And then we'll finish weld that one section right there, lock that in, and maybe lock it into the hood as well. So let's go figure out that. So with the power editing, all right, so I got it all rough tacked in there. As you can see, we have our main piece here, good amount of tacks going all the way through it. We have our secondary cut, good amount of tacks going all the way through it. That shouldn't break or anything. I have one tack up on top of this, because actually the way that we cut it, I just got to put a sliver right here, and it should basically hide all this. And then down here, again, I liked the way it curved in, so I just kind of tweaked this in a little bit and tacked it right to my front clip. So all we have to do is add roundness up around all this, but I think we can actually put in our wheel well, so that's what we're going to try to do. All right, so I brought a 235 75/15 as a stand-in. Got it pretty much centered up, because this is what I kind of want to do here. This is roughly, granted, when it grazes up just slightly, the wheel's gonna, you know, things are gonna move around, but it's a good stand-in for where we're gonna have to put our wheel well. So, grab our wheel well, and I'm just gonna lay it on top of this tire, just for now. And this gives us a good idea of how far forward, I can line it up at the bottom, how far forward it needs to be and how far back it needs to be. So as you can see, we're gonna have to cut into our fender quite considerably, but that's okay. We were ready to do that anyway. So that's what we're gonna do. I might actually raise it up just a tiny bit more just to make sure that we have no problem whatsoever with fender clearage and when we basically turn this truck. So I might bring it up just to about here, but I'll take my Sharpie and I'll make another line and we'll cut out on this fender what we're gonna use and what we're not. So give me a second, let me stencil that in and I'll be right back. That's what we're gonna be going with. As you can see, I got my Sharpie line right across here, goes right down. And then we're gonna be basically tack welding this in. We might have to do a little bit of cut and butt as we go to really finish this in, but I think it's gonna turn out very, very good. So let me cut that out real quick. Let me take my spare tire out, and then we're gonna Zeus that guy in. Alright, so now it's time to make this guy, and basically this guy right here. We also have that back panel right there that needs to be done. So 3 panels that need to be done for this. We're gonna focus on this top one right now, so let's do that. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Got my CAD here, goes almost right to the tip. We'll have to do a little triangle at the end, but not a big deal. This whole panel has to be kind of rounded like this, and if you notice, just having a triangle won't work. There's a little gap right there. So what I did is I traced it out onto my panel here and just added a little boss going up. And then when we cut this out, we're gonna round it off and then we're gonna stick it on. Well, there you go. That panel kind of sits in there just like so. Obviously, I'm gonna have to work it just a little bit and bring it down. But as you can see, it tucks in there pretty good. So, it's gonna quickly tack that up and let's move on to the next panel. There you guys go. That piece is all tacked in now. It flows pretty good. All we have to do is just do this little triangle here at the back, but we're gonna move on to this big front piece right here. This is what's really gonna tie in the truck. I have another CAD here, you know, cardboard aided design. Something kind of like that. As you can see, we're gonna do it a section like this, a section like this, leave that rounded part for, not the end, but leave that rounded part for me to work with it a little bit. But we'll do it in 3 sections. But yeah, that's what we got going on right now. Let me cut that out of the steel. I'll bend it up. It's marked out right there. I'll bend it up and I'll bring you guys back in a second. All right, so it took a little bit of extra time. Kind of getting that curve is a lot harder to do with just a hammer and a wood block, but we got it pretty darn close, if you don't say so myself. As you see, kind of curls in. The rest I can kind of finagle as it welds on, but I'm gonna do some hot tacks, tack that guy on, and then we'll do that bottom strip. Same idea. Ball peen, wood block, a little bit of vice grip action, you know, the basic stuff. And we'll peen it all around, and then we'll just have this section right here that we'll have to curl in. I got an idea for that, but let's tack that guy in, and then we'll do that. Alrighty, so we jumped ahead a little bit, not adding pieces, but I did a full seam weld on this thing. Spent an hour or two just tacking away. It's all done, so that's nice. We're basically ready to keep adding pieces now. Let me take my clamp off. So again, got our CAD here, our cardboard aided design. We're gonna put one down here, do the same thing that we did here, lip it over, and then all we have to do is deal with this center section right there, which is gonna be pretty good, not gonna lie. So, I already got it traced out on that little scrap right there. I'm gonna cut that out, bend that up. I'll bring you guys back when I'm putting it on. All right, so we got our rounded piece here. Kind of goes in just like that. It actually rounds out pretty darn good. And then we just have to deal with this top section right here. So, I'm gonna quickly hot tack this guy in here. Might even seam weld it, not quite sure yet. But we're gonna hot tack it for sure. And then I'll bring you guys back when we're dealing with this section right there. Same deal. We got our little piece here that we cut. This is all tacked in now. We still got to seam weld it, but we'll seam weld it once this is all done here. We got our piece. I actually already cut it out. Kind of bent it up roughly. It's roughly how it's gonna sit. Just kind of like that. So I'm gonna tack this guy in, kind of sculpt it a little bit. I'll bring you guys back for this back piece here. We got that guy all tacked in. It's time for this upper one right here. Same deal. I'm gonna dolly it out. I already got it cut out. I just gotta dolly it. It's gonna go kind of like that. And then we just have to make a jointed piece in the middle. So, let me make this. With this piece tacked and that piece tacked, we're ready for our last one. That's what I got going. Again, CAD. I'm gonna cut that out, tack it in. I'll bring you guys back when it's all seam welded and all done. So just give me a second. Alrighty, we got it all seam welded in. Let me bring you guys up front. What do you think? Looks pretty good, not gonna lie. When the other side's done, it will really bring this whole front end right together, especially when we can put those front pieces on. But right now, I'm just gonna make up a quick section for the back here. I already got it cut out. Just need a small little bend in it, nothing major at all. Tack weld that in, and then we're just gonna quickly make a little piece for that, and then we can kind of chop them and finish up this entire fender. What do you think? I think it turned out awesome. It's a little bit more narrow than factory. Made it more like a 50s Ford type deal, kind of narrow, which is nice. And then the wheel well, we moved forward. Those were our 2 goals on this entire thing. And now this rust-free fender is actually pretty much rust-free, which is awesome. There's still a little chunk here, and I got a little triangle down there, but that's no big deal. So basically, next time you see this fender, I'm gonna have it all seam welded. I'll put this little triangle in. I'll weld right across this side here, all that kind of stuff. But that's basically a wrap for this fender. The next one on the other side, same thing, but you know, the fenders aren't rusted equally, so everything's gonna be a little bit different. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. We ended up doing it without the tires anyway, but we matched it up with that 235 7515. I'll catch you guys in the next one, most likely on the other fender, because you know, it's another ordeal and I really want to see what this truck looks like. I'll see you guys soon. Alright, see ya.